All right, y'all. So, long story short, they got exposed. They said, yes, we did lie. And then they apologized. That's the long story short. Now, I didn't really ever follow this story. I never really talked about this story, never posted a video about this story. I didn't even really watch any of his videos where it was like day one as a Christian and day two as a Christian and going to a Christian church. He was doing a bunch of interviews on larger platforms. I didn't really feel the need to watch any of those interviews. I just was never really connected to the story like that. I never tapped into it like that. And I'm not saying that I like knew something like this was going to happen. I was just kind of sitting back and just seeing how everything played out because I'm very aware of what tends to happen when you have these individuals who make these bold claims of coming to Jesus from a radical lifestyle, and then they immediately get into content. So when you make this bold claim and now you're immediately a content creator and now you're immediately doing interviews and everyone's talking about you and you're getting all this traction, I kind of like to sit back and see how it plays out and see what happens. Because what I do know for sure is that the content side of it, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. The content side of this journey with God that we're all on, when we make it public, oftentimes it doesn't help because the process of us creating content, it demands a side of us that is oftentimes not glorifying to God. And what I mean by that is you start seeing the likes, you start seeing the comments, you start seeing the engagement, you start seeing people reach out to you to have you on their platform for interviews, you start making a little bit of money, you start getting some notoriety, you start getting some press, right? Human nature, when we have something that we perceive to be valuable, we go into self-preservation mode. And while we're in self-preservation mode, subconsciously or consciously, we start to make decisions to preserve whatever value that we think we have. And what happens sometimes is that we start to lie and we start to make up stuff and we start to say things that did not happen in order to maintain what we got. And unfortunately, in this situation, the testimony, the transformation is so incredible. And it's so funny because I said unfortunately, but it's actually fortunately. Fortunately, we serve a God who uses everything, good, bad, in between. He can use all of it and still get the glory out of it. So fortunately, in this situation, God still gets the glory regardless of what happened. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot of people who are hurt. There's a lot of people who are upset. There's a lot of people that feel like he deceived and misled them. And I think they're justified to feel that way. But you do have to look at it from this perspective, assuming that this is true and this is not a character, assuming this is not like a Broadway Dylan Mulvaney actor, actress type of situation, which I'm not under that assumption. I think that there is real transformation that took place. I think that he really was a trans woman living that lifestyle. God touched his heart. He detransitioned, and now he's trying to live for God. And I think that his girlfriend, who was a lesbian, is also going through a similar transition. I think that is real. I think that's authentic. But I also think that they felt the need to lie about certain things in order to protect what they had. But in the process of protecting what you have, the platform, people are going to get hurt along the way. because people are deeply connecting and deeply resonating with your content that you're creating. So when they find out that the content that you're creating has elements of deception woven into it, obviously they're going to be hurt. But like I said, at the same time, God still gets the glory. And that's what I'm seeing on both sides of the comments and both sides of the conversation. People recognize that, shady business, but at the same time, God still gets the glory. I want to play the video that they posted. Where is it? This one right here. If it ever wants to play.
So this is a video I never really wanted to make, but Charlotte and I met over 5 years ago and fell in love while I was still Nicole.
I came out as a lesbian in my 20s, and I was outcasted by the church that I was going to. So that kind of turned me away from the church world, and I just thought, I'm going to live how I want to live, and I don't need church. I don't need support from the church, because obviously they're not going to support me. So once I met Nicole, I thought, I'm with this woman and I'm happy and we're healthy and everything's fine. But then when he came to me and said that he had found Jesus on a hike, it shocked me a lot.
And I truly became a new creation in Christ. I was born again. Yeah. She didn't know this man.
I didn't.
She didn't fall in love with this man. And
you were a completely different person.
And we had to date all over again. Mm-hmm. I came to her and said, I'm surrendering my entire life to Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and Savior. And it wasn't easy. She had to love the man that he created, not the woman that I did. Mm-hmm. When I thought about how to tell my story as a new Christian, she was always going to be in the picture, but it wasn't my place to tell her past and to say that I was with a lesbian and that the woman I love was a lesbian. That wasn't my place. I was protecting her. She hasn't even had social media in years.
I haven't.
She didn't sign up for any of her past to be exposed, but I do want to take ownership and say that the timeline of how we met, I lied about. I did, but I wanted to protect her. And also in my head, I was dating you for the first time.
Yeah.
Again.
Mm-hmm. You felt like a new person, and you were a new person.
I was. Mm-hmm. I am. You're no longer with Nicole.
No. Nope.
So this is our story, and I want to answer every single question that you have. I'm going to make a longer video on YouTube, and thank you for all the continued support and prayers. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
So let me just say this real quick. And let me just preface this. I'm not upset. I'm not mad. I understand. I get it. Like this is human. This is human stuff that we're seeing. You got to understand that people lie and they shouldn't have done that. But I'm not upset. I'm not mad at them, like personally or anything like that. And I understand people deeply resonated with their story and their hurt. But once again, I'm going to say this, and I'll say it every day if I have to. Stop looking at these people to be perfect representations of God. It's never going to happen. God came in the flesh, Jesus Christ, and showed you the example. Follow him, get in your word, get in the Bible, read about him, talk to him, get into a relationship with him. So that's what I will say. But I understand not everybody understands that. And so people get hurt. I do want to say this, though, because he said that she didn't sign up for this and that he wanted to protect her. You got to understand something. you're participating in the game. Like I said, you are participating in the game. You are voluntarily sharing information about your story, about your testimony, about your personal life. You brought her on your platform. You signed her up for this. There's no code of ethics in this content game. People are going to dig and they're going to try to find any information that they can get on you in order to get engagement. This is the game that we're playing. This is the game that we're playing. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect because I'm definitely not perfect, but I have a different mindset. I have a different perspective while I'm playing this game. I'm not trying to necessarily put anybody down personally, because I understand that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. This is a spiritual battle that we are all fighting. I get that. My goal is to shape the conversation in the context of Jesus Christ is the answer in every situation, regardless of the story, regardless of the headline, regardless of the topic. That's my perspective. That's my heart as I'm going into these conversations. But you have to understand, not everybody has that same perspective. Not everybody has that same heart. And that's why I said it's very dangerous when you're giving information about yourself on social media, about your walk with God, about your relationship with God. It becomes very dangerous when you start to build a following and you start to get a platform and people start to engage with you and like what you're posting, and then you start making some money. It becomes very dangerous because not everybody is built for that. Not everybody is built for that level of temptation. Not everybody is built for that. It is what it is. Not everybody is built to have all these different people give their opinion on their personal life. It just is what it is. And those opinions, the temptation, the need to feel like you have to perform, the need to feel like your next video has to be your best video or else you fell off, that desire within you, not everybody is built for that. And when you're trying to authentically and genuinely walk with God, it can pull you away from the whole reason why you created that platform in the first place. And that's what we have to understand. But once again, in this story, we can choose to see the positive, which is God still gets the glory. And that's a fact. That's a fact. Now, this is a little bit of what people were saying. So this is a previous video that he had posted. This one right here. So he posted a dating update.
Quick update about me telling the girl that I am with that I am a detransitioner, that I used to live as a woman. It went pretty good. I told her that I used to live as a woman named Nicole, and now I have become a man of God and a man of truth and reality. And she goes, look, I don't know Nicole.
And put her receipts.
I met Nisa. I met Ebenezer. This is the only person I know, and he's great. And I really like hanging out with him. So yeah, I think it went pretty good. I'm seeing a girl. She is amazing. We have been together like a good month now.
2021. More receipts.
Do you want to have children one day?
I want to have lots of children.
Is that a weird question to ask on a date?
No, not at all. I've always wanted to have children.
I have a real question. I've been with a very special woman for a while now, a few months, 4 months.
For 5 years. So, like I said, you make it seem like it's a parody So you can't necessarily be upset when they question the entire story, and when they start to question whether or not the entirety of your story was a parody. You can't necessarily be upset with people for making that assumption. Now, as I said, I don't believe that the whole story is fake. If I did, I would tell y'all. I don't have no problem telling y'all. I don't believe the story is fake. I do think that God transformed their lives in terms of bringing them out of the deception that they were living in, the trans lifestyle, the lesbian lifestyle. I feel like God transformed them. He opened up their eyes, and they're walking in that direction towards Christ. I'm not going to be one of those individuals who is going to deny the transformation power that God worked in this story, even though they fell short in the area that they did. So that's what I think. What do you think? That's the main part that I'm interested in, is what do y'all think? Get in my comments, like this video. I'm out, y'all.